The wake is a trail that is left behind. Can the trail that is left behind make the boat go forward? So now you have to look at your life and all of the things that have transpired in your life and ask yourself what's making your life go in the direction that it's going. Well, it's the present moment energy that is being generated by your mind, by your thoughts, that is making your... And one of the great ironies, I've been studying some of the teachings of a man named Bashar. Anybody in here ever hear of Bashar? Very, very interesting information. And he talks about these different dimensions of being. He calls them densities. So in this third dimension, or the third density, we have something called cause and effect. So you do this and it creates this, okay? And we have a tendency to believe that when I do this, it makes this happen. And then he said we move into the fourth density. I'm not going to go into all of this now, but into the fourth density, in which there is no cause and effect, in which every single moment is disconnected from the next moment, and that the present is not created by the past. This is just something to really ponder, because it's going to get really good when we get to the satsang. The present is not created by the past. The past is created by the present in the fourth density, in the fourth dimension. And that's the dimension where you leave the world of cause and effect and you realize that everything that ever happened to you up until this moment happened to you in the present. And in quantum physics teaches us that there is no such thing as time, and it does, that it's all one, especially in the world of spirit, in the world of God, it's all one. Then the past is something that we are creating now. And the idea, this exciting, exquisite idea that you can change the past by becoming something different in the present becomes a reality. Now, you're all saying, that's just too far out, I can't do that, that's just too weird, I can't do that. But the truth of it is, for 1/3 of your entire life here on this planet, while you are asleep, you're able to do just what I just described. You can create any past that you want. And you have left this dead thing laying on the bed. It's just, you've just left, life has left it, it's just there. And you're off someplace else, creating the past that you want, right? And creating the future that you want. Higher consciousness is something in which we can create a whole new way of being when we get past, and then he talks, that's the fourth density, or the fourth dimension, where you begin to realize that there is no cause and effect. That everything is just, one moment is not connected to the next. What you did a month ago is not connected to what you are doing today, even though this linear mind of yours has convinced you that it's absolutely why this happened. The fact is, in a quantum sense, everything is being recreated every moment, every moment. Your whole body is being recreated every moment, every moment. And now this may not seem like an important thing for you to know, but when you get a hold of this idea, it's like one of the elements that you need in order to reach a higher level of consciousness is you've got to give up your personal history. You've just got to give it up. I have a quote over here from Castaneda. He said, one day I finally realized that I no longer needed a personal history. And just like drinking, I gave it up. And that, and only that, has made all the difference in my life. If you can just give up this idea that what happened to you in the past is why you are the way you are. It's akin to saying that the thing that is moving this ship is the wake, which is nothing more than a trail that is left behind. And you can change that wake, which we don't think we can do. But remember, for 1/3 of your life, you're able to do it. And to me, higher consciousness is what Thoreau said. It's becoming a waking dreamer. It's what an alchemist is. Someone who can... An alchemist isn't someone who takes something that is bad and throws it out and then brings something good in. An alchemist is someone who takes something that is bad, like lead, and turns it into gold. It's what St. Francis said where there is hatred, let me bring love. Where there is darkness, let me bring light. In other words, become an alchemist. Being able to change what is into that which is aligned with your source of being.
My dear, wonderful friends, tonight I shall share with you the most powerful secret in all of creation: how to speak to yourself in a way that will completely transform your world in just 3 days. Not in 3 months, not in 3 years, but in 3 days. For you see, the power of your inner conversation is absolute, and it is the only true creative power in the universe. Now, when I tell you to talk to yourself, I am not speaking of the idle chatter that most engage in throughout their day. I speak of that inner conversation that is deliberate, conscious, and aligned with your desired state. For your inner conversation is your consciousness externalized, and your consciousness is God. Consider the words of Scripture. In the beginning was the Word. These words are not speaking of some external deity's utterance. They speak of your inner word, your inner conversation. For you are the operant power, and your inner conversation is the word that creates all things. Many of you come to me asking, Wayne, how long must I wait to see my desires manifest? And I tell you now, give yourself 3 days of proper inner conversation, and you will see your world begin to transform. For 3 is the number of completion in Scripture. And when you maintain the proper inner conversation for 3 days, you set in motion forces beyond your current understanding. Let me share with you exactly how to conduct this inner conversation. First, you must understand that your inner conversation must be from the end. You do not speak of what you want to be true. You speak as though what you desire is already true. This is the great secret that most of the world has missed. When you wake in the morning of your first day, your inner conversation must be from the state of your wish fulfilled. If you desire wealth, your inner conversation must be that of a wealthy person. If you desire health, your inner conversation must be that of a healthy person. If you desire love, your inner conversation must be that of someone who is deeply loved. But then this is crucial. Your inner conversation must feel natural. It must not be strained or forced, for feeling is the secret. And your inner conversation must be accompanied by the feeling of naturalness. Let me give you a perfect example from Scripture. When David spoke to Goliath, his inner conversation was not, I hope I can win or I will try my best. His inner conversation was from the state of victory already achieved. This is why he could say with complete conviction, this day will the Lord deliver thee into mine hand. Now, for these 3 days, you must guard your inner conversation as though your life depends upon it, because it does. Every time you catch yourself engaging in inner conversation that contradicts your desired state, you must immediately revise it. This is not a suggestion. This is a command if you wish to see your world transform. Consider this. Every outer conversation you have is first an inner conversation. Every relationship you have is first an inner conversation. Every circumstance in your life is first an inner conversation. Therefore, by changing your inner conversation for just 3 days, you literally change the entire substance from which your world is created. Let me tell you how to structure your inner conversation throughout these 3 days. In the morning, your first inner words must be from the state of your wish fulfilled before you open your eyes, before you move a muscle. Engage in the inner conversation of the person you wish to be. If you desire wealth, your inner conversation might be, I am so grateful for my abundant life. Money flows to me easily and continuously. I am surrounded by prosperity. But remember, these words must not be mere affirmations. They must be spoken with the feeling of knowing that they are already true. Throughout your day, your inner conversation must maintain the same level of conviction. When challenges arise, and they will arise, your inner conversation must remain steadfast. If someone speaks of lack, your inner conversation must be of abundance. If someone speaks of illness, your inner conversation must be of health. This is where most fail in their attempt to change their world. They allow their inner conversation to be pulled into the current circumstances rather than maintaining the conversation of their desired state. But I tell you now, circumstances have no power over your inner conversation unless you give them that power. For these 3 days, you must be relentless in maintaining your new inner conversation. When you walk down the street, your inner conversation must be from your desired state. When you eat your meals, your inner conversation must be from your desired state. When you prepare for sleep, your inner conversation must be from your desired state. Let me share with you a principle that I have tested and proven countless times. Your inner conversation is the only reality. Everything else, absolutely everything, is a shadow of your inner conversation pushed out. Therefore, when you maintain the proper inner conversation for 3 days, you literally create a new world. Many of you may be thinking, but Wayne, 3 days seems too short a time to change my entire world. Let me remind you of the story of Jonah. How long was he in the belly of the whale? 3 days. And after 3 days, he was transformed, and his world was transformed. This is not coincidence, my dear friends. This is law. 3 days of proper inner conversation is all that is required to set in motion the forces that will transform your world. But these must be 3 complete days, not 3 days of wavering between states. During these 3 days, you must guard your inner conversation, not just in your waking hours, but as you fall asleep. For the last inner conversation you have before sleep is particularly powerful. It continues to echo through your subconscious mind throughout your sleep. Therefore, as you prepare for sleep during these 3 days, your inner conversation must be perfectly aligned with your desired state. If you desire a successful business, your inner conversation might be, I am so grateful for my thriving business. My customers are delighted with our services. Profits increase continuously. But remember, and this is crucial, your inner conversation must be accompanied by the feeling of naturalness. It must feel as natural to have this conversation as it feels to speak of what you had for breakfast. This is where the power lies, not in the words themselves, but in the feeling of naturalness that accompanies them. Let me share with you another principle. Your inner conversation creates your outer conversations. Therefore, during these 3 days, you must be particularly vigilant about your outer conversations as well. They must align with your new inner conversation. If someone asks you how you are, your response must come from your desired state. If someone speaks to you about problems or difficulties, your response must come from your desired state. Your outer conversation must be a perfect reflection of your new inner conversation. Many of you may find this challenging at first. You may be tempted to engage in conversations about current circumstances rather than your desired state. But I tell you now, this is where your power lies in maintaining your new conversation, regardless of appearances. Consider the story of Jesus walking on water. What was his inner conversation? Was it about the impossibility of walking on water? Was it about the danger of the storms? No, his inner conversation was from the state of mastery over all natural laws and his outer world had to conform to this inner conversation. During these 3 days, you must maintain the same level of conviction in your inner conversation. You must speak to yourself as though your desired state is already your reality, not as though it will be, not as though it might be, but as though it is. Let me share with you how to handle doubts when they arise during these 3 days, and they will arise. When a doubt appears in your mind, do not fight it. Instead, immediately revise your inner conversation. If you catch yourself saying inwardly, "This isn't working," immediately revise it too. "Everything is working perfectly. My world is transforming now." This revision must be immediate and complete. You cannot allow doubt to linger in your inner conversation. For remember, your inner conversation is the only reality. Therefore, a doubting inner conversation will create a doubting outer reality. Throughout these 3 days, your inner conversation must be dominated by gratitude. Not gratitude for what you hope will come, but gratitude for what is already yours in your desired state. This gratitude must be part of your inner conversation throughout the day. When you wake in the morning, your inner conversation must be filled with gratitude. When you go about your daily activities, your inner conversation must be filled with gratitude. When you prepare for sleep, your inner conversation must be filled with gratitude. Let me share with you another principle. Your inner conversation creates your inner states, and your inner states create your outer world. Therefore, during these 3 days, your inner conversation must create and maintain the inner state of your wish fulfilled. If you desire wealth, your inner conversation must create and maintain the inner state of wealth. Consciousness. If you desire health, your inner conversation must create and maintain the inner state of health. Consciousness. If you desire love, your inner conversation must create and maintain the inner state of being loved. Many of you may be wondering what to do if you slip in your inner conversation during these 3 days. Let me be very clear. You must not condemn yourself. Instead, immediately revise the conversation. Remember, you are training yourself to maintain a new inner conversation. And like any training, it requires practice. During these 3 days, your inner conversation must be your primary focus. Every other activity must be secondary to maintaining your new inner conversation. For you are literally recreating your world through this conversation. Let me share with you how to structure your inner conversation for specific desires. If you desire a new home, your inner conversation might be, "I love living in my beautiful new home. Everything about it is perfect for me." If you desire a promotion, your inner conversation might be, "I am so grateful for my new position. It's everything I desired and more." But remember, these are not mere words. They must be accompanied by the feeling of living in that new home, the feeling of working in that new position. Fulfilling is the secret, and your inner conversation must generate the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Throughout these 3 days, your inner conversation must be specific. Vague inner conversation creates vague results. Therefore, speak to yourself with clarity about your desired state. Be specific in your inner conversation about what you are grateful for, what you are experiencing, what you are enjoying in your desired state. Let me share with you another principle. Your inner conversation creates self-concept, and your self-concept creates your world. Therefore, during these 3 days, your inner conversation must be about who you are, not just what you have. If you desire success, your inner conversation must be about being a successful person, not just about having success. If you desire abundance, your inner conversation must be about being an abundant person, not just about having money. If you desire love, your inner conversation must be about being a loved person, not just about having a relationship. During these 3 days, your inner conversation must be continuous, not in the sense of constant chatter, but in the sense of consistent alignment with your desired state. Every time you become aware of your inner conversation, It must be from your desired state. Let me share with you how to maintain this continuity. Set reminders for yourself throughout the day. Every time you look at your watch, every time you eat a meal, every time you enter a room, let these be triggers to check your inner conversation. But remember, your inner conversation must not be mechanical. It must be aligned with feeling rich with the emotion of your desired state. For it is the feeling that gives power to your inner conversation. Throughout these 3 days, your inner conversation must be sovereign. You must not allow anyone or anything to dictate your inner conversation. Not circumstances, not other people's opinions, not past experiences. Nothing must have power over your inner conversation except you. Let me share with you another principle. Your inner conversation creates your expectations, and your expectations create your experience. Therefore, during these 3 days, your inner conversation must create the highest expectations of good for yourself. Many of you may be thinking, but Wayne, what if my desired state seems impossible? Let me remind you, nothing is impossible. To your inner conversation. Your inner conversation is God in action, and to God, all things are possible. During these 3 days, your inner conversation must be about possibility, not probability. You must speak to yourself from the state of your wish fulfilled, regardless of how probable or improbable may seem to your rational mind. Let me share with you how to handle apparent failures during these 3 days. If something happens that seems to contradict your desired state, your inner conversation must remain unchanged. You must speak to yourself as though the seeming failure is actually part of the perfect unfolding of your desire. Remember, your inner conversation is creating your reality, not the other way around. Therefore, no external circumstance has the power to change your inner conversation unless you give it that power. Throughout these 3 days, your inner conversation must be your constant companion. It must be the lens through which you view every experience, the filter through which you interpret every event, the standard by which you measure every circumstance. Let me share with you another principle. Your inner conversation creates a belief system, and your belief system creates your reality. Therefore, during these 3 days, your inner conversation must consistently reinforce the beliefs that support your desired state. During these 3 days, your inner conversation must be a perfect reflection of the person you wish to be. You must speak to yourself as that person would speak. Think as that person would think. Feel as that person would feel. Let me share with you how to maintain this level of consciousness. When you catch yourself speaking from your old state, immediately ask yourself, how would I be speaking to myself if I were already the person I wish to be? Then revise your inner conversation accordingly. Throughout these 3 days, your inner conversation must be about what is not, what was, or what might be. You must speak to yourself in the present tense from the state of your wish fulfilled. This is crucial for the manifestation of your desire. Let me share with you another principle. Your inner conversation creates future, but it does so by creating your present. Therefore, during these 3 days, your inner conversation must make your desired future your present reality. Many of you may be wondering what will happen after these 3 days. Let me tell you, if you have maintained the proper inner conversation for 3 days, you will have set in motion forces that must result in the manifestation of your desire. During these 3 days, your inner conversation must be your primary tool for creation. Every other method, every other technique, every other approach must be secondary to maintaining your new inner conversation. Let me share with you how to know if your inner conversation is correct. If it feels natural, if it feels real, if it feels true, even in the face of contrary evidence, then your inner conversation is correct. Throughout these 3 days, your inner conversation must be protected like a precious jewel. You must guard it against doubt, against fear, against negativity. For your inner conversation is the very substance from which your world is created. Let me share with you another principle. Your inner conversation creates a relationship with yourself, and your relationship with yourself creates all other relationships. Therefore, during these 3 days, your inner conversation must reflect the highest, most loving relationship with yourself. During these 3 days, your inner conversation must be your sacred practice. You must treat it with the same reverence that a priest treats his prayers, that a scientist treats his experiments, that an artist treats his creations. Let me share with you how to maintain this level of devotion. See your inner conversation as your direct connection to the creative power of the universe. For that is exactly what it is, your consciousness in action creating your world. Throughout these 3 days, your inner conversation must be your constant reminder of who you really are, the operant power in your world, the creator of reality, the God of your uniqueness. And that, my dear friends, is how you must talk to yourself for 3 days if you wish to transform your world. Not sometimes, not occasionally, but consistently, continuously, constantly. For your inner conversation is the Word of God in action, and it cannot return void. Remember this, your world is your inner conversation pushed out. Therefore, guard your inner conversation for these 3 days, as though your life depends upon it, because it does. So what will you do with this knowledge? Will you continue with your old inner conversation, creating the same results you've always created? Or will you begin today, this moment, to maintain a new inner conversation that must create a new world? The choice is yours, but the law is absolute. Your inner conversation creates your reality. Therefore, speak to yourself for 3 days as though your desires are already fulfilled, and watch your world transform. That's the message I want to leave you tonight. Not because it's easy, but because it's true. Not because it's simple, but because it's powerful. Not because it's what you expected to hear, but because it's what you needed to hear. Remember, 3 days of proper inner conversation will transform your world every single time. And isn't that worth thinking about? There is a silent song humming through the cosmos, a vibration so pure, so ancient, that it existed long before the first breath of time. And this song, this eternal current, is what responds to the frequency you emit. You are not separate from it. You are not apart from the universe. You are of it. You are made of it. Your essence is energy. And that energy carries a frequency, one that speaks, even when your mouth is closed, even when your thoughts are chaotic, even when your heart is breaking. And the universe listens not to your words, but to your vibration. You may have been taught that the world is happening to you, but the deeper truth, the one whispered to the soul when it is still, is that life is happening through you. It mirrors you, reflects you, echoes back to you, not your circumstances, but your consciousness. Not your struggle, but your state. You are not a powerless observer floating in a chaotic sea. You are a powerful creator immersed in a field that responds to what you are being. And what you are being is everything. Not what you're doing, not what you're hoping, but what you are. There is a field of energy around you that is constantly broadcasting a signal. That signal is your dominant emotion. It is your core belief. It is the story you keep silently telling yourself. And the universe, in all its infinite wisdom and non-judgmental compassion, simply aligns with it. It doesn't judge your frequency. It doesn't decide whether you're worthy or not. It simply responds. If you are living in fear, it will meet you with more reasons to be afraid. If you are living in love, it will offer you more to love. If you are rooted in scarcity, life will echo back lack. If you are grounded in gratitude, life will mirror abundance. This is not punishment or reward. This is resonance. The universe is not a parent with favorites, nor is it a system of reward points for good behavior. It is vibration, and vibration cannot be tricked. You cannot fake alignment. You cannot affirm over a wound that hasn't been healed. You cannot chant joy from a soul that has not yet made peace. Because the universe doesn't hear your words. It feels your signal. So the real journey, the sacred work, is not in begging the universe for better, but in becoming better aligned with who you truly are beneath the noise. And who you truly are is light, is love, is divine presence in a temporary form. You don't need to get anything from life. You only need to become what life responds to. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. Let us stop for a moment and ask the real question. What signal am I sending out into the field right now? Is it the frequency of resentment, of comparison, of fear, self-doubt, and trying to be enough? Or is it the quiet, anchored presence of someone who remembers even for a moment that they are not this mind, this emotion, this body, this history, but the one witnessing it all? Because that shift from identification with the ego to identification with the soul is the shift that changes everything. You see, the ego wants to manipulate the universe. It says, if I do this, then I should get that. It bargains, it pleads, it performs, it pretends, but the soul does not bargain. The soul remembers. The soul radiates. The soul does not need to force life into shape. It simply returns to its true frequency, and life takes form around it. This is the art of surrender. Not giving up, but tuning in. Not efforting, but aligning. Not striving, but allowing. The rose does not open by force. It opens by being in harmony with the season. So must you. There is nothing more magnetic than a being who has returned to their natural frequency. They do not beg, they do not chase, they do not prove. They simply become the embodiment of what they once thought they needed to seek. And then life bends around them effortlessly, like gravity answering its source. The universe responds not to your need, but to your being. Not to your pain, but to your peace. Not to your desire, but to your wholeness. And you are already whole. But somewhere along the way, you believed otherwise. Somewhere, you inherited the idea that you must strive, must hustle, must become more as though the infinite could be measured in worth. And in doing so, you moved from presence to pretense, from frequency to friction, from flow to force. But your soul remembers the truth. It remembers what it feels like to rest in the now, to be in the moment without agenda, to breathe without resistance, to love without condition, to trust without knowing. And when you return to this place, not in theory, but in being, everything changes. Because the universe cannot help but meet you where you are. And where you are vibrationally is always creating what comes next. Let this not frighten you, let it free you. Because it means you are not at the mercy of fate or karma or broken history. You are not the victim of some random algorithm in the sky. You are the author of resonance, the chooser of frequency, the mirror to which all things are drawn. So if you want more love, be the love that no longer waits. If you want more abundance, embody the gratitude that already sees it everywhere. If you want peace, be still and know you are not the storm. You are the sky it moves through. When your frequency rises, your life cannot stay the same. Not because you manipulated the external, but because you transfigured the internal. You alchemized your energy. You didn't chase, you tuned. You didn't fight, you surrendered. You didn't shout, you harmonized. And so the entire orchestra of your existence changed keys. You are not meant to push the river. You are meant to remember that you are the river. You are the stream that flows through valleys of experience, over stones of challenge, under bridges of doubt, and still you move forward, naturally, guided not by force, but by the silent pull of your own divine current. When you resist what is, you create dissonance in your frequency. But when you accept what is, you become powerful in your flow. And the universe ever so gently reorients to meet you there in the field of surrender where miracles bloom. Your frequency is your signature. It is not what you say about yourself. It is not the mask you wear or the image you curate. It is the hum beneath your silence. It is the truth that pulses underneath every smile, every thought, every breath. And the universe reads this with perfect accuracy, not to judge, but to align. You are not being punished by your life. You are being tuned by it. Every difficult moment, every closed door, every loss is not a cosmic insult. It is a compassionate response to what no longer matches the higher signal you were born to become. When you learn to listen inward instead of outward, you begin to hear the whispers of frequency before they become the shouts of fate. The soul always speaks before the suffering begins, but most of us wait. We wait for pain to teach us what presence could have shown us in stillness. We wait until our bodies break down before we rest. We wait until we're alone to understand the need for self-love. We wait until we're depleted to realize we were chasing from a frequency of emptiness. But the universe never rushes you. It waits too patiently, lovingly for you to come back to your vibration. And what is your vibration, truly, when all the noise is cleared? It is peace. Not the kind found in a quiet room, but the kind that radiates from a quiet heart. It is joy. Not the temporary high, but the steady flame that burns even in the rain. It is love. Not the transaction of affection, but the unconditional remembrance that you are what you seek. There are no shortcuts to frequency. You cannot meditate your way into joy while secretly resenting the world. You cannot visualize abundance while clinging to fear. The inner world is precise. It does not lie. And that is its beauty. That is its power. Because it means your transformation is not dependent on the external. You can shift your frequency in this moment, not tomorrow, not next year, now. Take a breath. Deep, unforced, honest, and feel for just this breath what it means to be enough without becoming more, to be worthy without proof, to be loved without condition. Now feel what rises. If it's resistance, that's okay. Let it speak. Let it move. For nothing lowers your frequency like the repression of truth, and nothing raises it like the courageous return to self. You do not need to earn your way into alignment. You simply need to remove what no longer belongs. Let go of the guilt that was never yours. Release the shame that came from someone else's pain. Lay down the identity that was built to survive, not to thrive. You are not your mask. You are not your wounds. You are not your past. You are the presence beneath all of it. And presence is the highest frequency of all. When you walk into a room as presence, you don't have to say a word. People feel it. Children sense it. Animals are drawn to it. Nature responds to it. Because you are no longer emitting the static of separation, you are radiating the coherence of truth. You are no longer pretending, you are being. And in being, you become magnetic to everything that matches that vibration. Have you ever wondered why things fall apart when you finally choose yourself? Why relationships shift when you return to inner peace? Why doors close when you start walking in alignment with your soul? It's not because you're being punished, it's because your frequency changed, and what once resonated no longer fits. The old must fall away, not as loss, but as proof of rebirth. Let it go. Let them go. Let what no longer vibrates with your truth be released, not with anger, but with gratitude for showing you what you are not. You don't need to understand everything. You only need to trust that your energy is a compass, and when it is clear, it will guide you not to comfort, but to truth, not to ease, but to expansion. And expansion often requires the shedding of skins, the unraveling of illusions, the death of who you thought you were. But this is not a tragedy. This is grace in motion. This is the universe saying, you are becoming more you than you have ever been. And so the question becomes, what frequency are you willing to live in now? Because the universe isn't waiting for your perfection. It's responding to your intention. It's not judging your flaws. It's aligning with your vibration. It's not testing your worth. It's reflecting your belief. Every thought you hold, every emotion you feed, every story you rehearse is an energetic instruction to life, not in punishment, in partnership. The field is intelligent, it is alive, and it is listening. When you speak, I am, the universe completes the sentence. I am broken, and it echoes back pain. I am healing, and it brings the teachers. I am whole, and it aligns the world to mirror it. So what are you claiming with your energy today? Not what are you saying, what are you being? If your mind is anxious, but your heart is present, listen to the heart. If your ego is screaming, but your soul is whispering, follow the whisper. For it is in the stillness beneath the noise where your true frequency resides, waiting for you to come home. Come home to the knowing that nothing outside of you is more powerful than what is within you. Come home to the silence that is not empty, but full of knowing, full of clarity, full of God. The mind will say you need to fix your life, rearrange your circumstances, hustle harder, prove something. But the soul knows you do not need to chase alignment. You need only to return to the place where you stop being honest with yourself. And in that return, your frequency begins to rise. It rises not through effort, but through authenticity. It rises not through performance, but through presence. It rises when you stop trying to be what you think the world wants and start being what your spirit already is. You've been taught to chase vibration with achievement, but the truth is, you raise your vibration by releasing. Not by adding more, but by subtracting what no longer serves. Let go of the beliefs that bind you. Let go of the story that says you are small, unworthy, alone. That story was a survival strategy, not a reflection of your divinity. And the universe has never responded to your wounds. It has only responded to the energy those wounds created. So, if you are ready for life to meet you differently, meet yourself differently first. Speak to yourself with reverence. Think of yourself as divine. Treat your thoughts as seeds, for what you plant in the soil of your mind becomes the forest of your experience. Energy cannot lie. What you believe deep down becomes the blueprint of what the universe returns to you. And belief is not a sentence, it is a frequency. You can say, I am worthy 1,000 times. But if your energy says, I am still seeking proof, the field will respond to the seeking, not the words. So the real work, the sacred path, is to live as if your worth is not in question. Not to pretend, but to remember, to strip away every layer that ever told you otherwise, the beliefs that came from others, the shame that was inherited, the doubt that was absorbed from a world that forgot its own light. These are not yours. They were never yours. You were not here to carry them, you were here to transmute them. You are here to alchemize fear into presence, guilt into grace, and confusion into clarity. And the moment you choose to stand in your truth, the entire frequency of your life shifts. You've seen it. You've felt it. Those moments when you finally let go and suddenly things align. The phone call comes, the door opens, the path clears. Why? Because you didn't force life. You stopped resisting yourself. You let go of what kept you small, and in doing so, you match the field of miracles that has been waiting for you all along. Miracles are not exceptions. They are reflections of alignment. You don't need to perform to be worthy of one. You need only to become the frequency of one. Become the vibration of love, and love will meet you in forms you never imagined. Become the vibration of peace, and chaos will no longer find a home in you. Become the vibration of wholeness, and nothing outside of you will have the power to break you again. This is not spiritual poetry. This is energetic law. The universe operates on resonance, and you, beloved, are a tuning fork of creation. If you are surrounded by noise, confusion, or lack, look not at the world, but within. Where's the noise in you? What story are you still playing on repeat? What belief are you still breathing life into that no longer aligns with your divine nature? Dare to pause. Dare to go inward. The world will pull you 1,000 different ways, but the soul only pulls one way, home. And home is not a place. Home is a frequency. It's the frequency of God within you. The still, unwavering hum of the infinite that has always been there beneath your pain, beneath your past, beneath your striving. You do not need to build your worth. You need only to uncover it. Strip away the noise. Let go of what isn't true. And feel, even now, what begins to awaken. This is the return. This is the healing. This is the frequency that shifts everything. You don't need the world to change for you to feel different. You need to feel different, and then the world begins to change. This is not a bypassing of reality. It is the deeper reality. For you are not just flesh and bone. You are vibration. You are light in motion, and the universe responds to that. The external is just the echo. The internal is the origin. So tend to your energy with care. Speak to your thoughts like you would a sacred child. Forgive your past with the softness of someone who has remembered the truth. Your energy is your power. Protect it, honor it, align it, and you will begin to experience a life that matches not your history, but your healing. You are not here to repeat cycles. You are here to transmute them. You are not here to beg life for blessings. You are here to radiate so brightly that blessings become inevitable. This is not arrogance. This is remembrance. Remember who you are. Remember what you are. Not the labels, not the name, not the roles or the wounds or the masks, but the presence behind all of it, the field of light that watches without judgment, the stillness that listens beneath the noise. That is you. And when you live from that place, you begin to emit a frequency so pure that the universe cannot help but respond in kind. It must, because you are it, and it is you. You are not meant to control the universe. You are meant to collaborate with it, but collaboration begins with clarity. Not clarity of outcomes, but clarity of energy. The most important question you can ask yourself is not, what should I do, but what am I radiating right now? Because your frequency does not lie. And life in its unending compassion will keep showing you what lives beneath the surface of your own awareness, not to shame you, but to free you. Every relationship that triggers you, every delay that frustrates you, every closed door that confuses you, these are not punishments, they are invitations. Opportunities to pause and ask, what am I being asked to release so that I can rise into a higher alignment? You see, the old self, the wounded self, the story-built self wants resolution through control. It wants to fix, force, and figure it all out. But the true self, the soul, wants resolution through resonance. It knows that the healing of your outer world begins with the coherence of your inner one. So you must begin to see everything not as happening to you, but as arising from you. Not in blame, never in blame, but in sacred responsibility. This is the frequency of a conscious creator. Not one who escapes life, but one who co-creates it with divine awareness. Because the more you attune to your true vibration, the more you become unshakable by what happens around you. Storms may come, but you no longer become them. Loss may arrive, but you no longer identify with lack. Uncertainty may rise, but you no longer abandon yourself to fear. This is frequency mastery. And it does not come from escaping the world. It comes from returning so deeply to the truth of who you are that the world can no longer distort your signal. You become the still point, the unmoved mover, the eye in the center of the storm. And in that stillness, the universe listens. It listens not because you are louder. It listens because you are clearer. It listens because you have dropped the noise, the need, the narrative, and you are simply being what you were always meant to be, a conscious emanation of love. This, beloved, is your natural state. Love is not something you earn. It is what you are when the noise is gone. And when you radiate from that place, the place of nothing to prove, nothing to chase, nothing to fear, the universe opens in ways you could never orchestrate from the mind. Doors swing wide. People arrive like divine appointments. Healing rushes in without effort. And peace becomes your resting place, not a fleeting destination. This is not a fantasy. This is the real world as seen through the frequency of soul. Let go of the belief that the world must change first, that people must apologize, that conditions must improve, that your body, your bank account, your relationships must reach some imagined perfection before you feel whole. No, the secret is this. When you feel whole first, the world begins to rearrange itself around your new vibration. Because frequency is creative. It generates experience. It doesn't wait, it initiates. So take the pressure off trying to get everything right. You don't need to perfect your outer life. You need only to become congruent in your inner world, to live in harmony with what you truly believe, to think thoughts that feel like peace, to feel emotions that echo your truth, to embody the energy of what you wish to experience, and then watch life respond, not in days, in moments, because alignment is not about time, it's about presence. Time is only needed when you're still fighting the frequency of what is. But presence collapses time. It opens portals. It reveals pathways that the mind cannot see. So breathe. Sink into your body, into your now, into this one sacred breath. You are here. And here is the only place miracles can happen. There comes a point on the spiritual path where effort becomes surrender and seeking becomes seeing. You begin to realize that you do not need to chase answers. You need only to become quiet enough to hear them. They are already within you. The wisdom, the peace, the clarity, it's not outside, waiting in some future version of your life. It is here, in this breath, in this now. And the only thing keeping you from it is the noise of resistance. Let it go. Let go of the timelines that pressure you. Let go of the expectations that confine you. Let go of the need to be more than what you already are. You are not here to prove your divinity. You are here to embody it. To walk into a room with a soft presence that shifts the air not by force but by frequency. To move through this world with a quiet knowing that says, I am not my story, I am not my fear, I am not my past, I am presence, I am love, I am light. You don't have to shout that truth. You don't even have to say it. You simply have to be it. And being it means trusting that the frequency you carry is the frequency that leads. When you walk as wholeness, life mirrors wholeness. When you rest in gratitude, the universe opens new pathways. When you drop into stillness, clarity emerges without effort. You begin to see life not as something to control, but something to collaborate with. You begin to sense that everything is unfolding exactly as it should, not always in the way the mind wants, but in the way the soul needs. And in that surrender, your frequency stabilizes. It no longer jumps with circumstance. It no longer reacts to every trigger. It no longer depends on validation or control or certainty. It becomes steady, grounded, unshakable. And from that space, miracles flow. Not because you forced them, but because you became them. Because miracles are not events, they are frequencies. And you, beloved, are the tuning fork. You are the transmitter. You are the divine channel through which life expresses itself in form. So live like it, think like it, love like it, speak like it, walk like it, breathe like it. The universe is not waiting to bless you. It is waiting to recognize itself in you, to feel the signal of presence radiating from your being, to align with your soul's signature, not your ego's plan. You don't need more effort. You need more presence, more peace, more inner clarity, more moments of silence where you remember, I am already what I seek. This is the ultimate shift. From becoming to being, from doing to radiating, from striving to surrender. And in that surrender, life unfolds with grace. You'll find yourself in the right place at the right time, not because you manipulated the map, but because you matched the vibration of alignment. You'll be met by the right people, not because you chased them, but because you became a match for the energy they carried. You'll manifest beauty, not as a trick of manifestation techniques, but as a natural extension of the frequency of wholeness within you. Because energy doesn't lie. And you, when you remember your light, are the most powerful force in creation. Not powerful in the way of the world, powerful in the way of peace, in the way of presence, in the way of God. So, slow down. The world may rush, but your soul never does. Presence has no urgency. Truth has no timeline. And love has no conditions. And when you live like that, when you live as if your soul is the leader, the universe has no choice but to respond in harmony. It must, because it is you. You are not separate. You are the wave and the ocean. You are the light and the source of light. You are the breath and the one who breathes. You are the prayer and the answer. The vibration you hold is your real power, not your resume, not your story, not your plans, your frequency. And when you choose peace, you tune your life to a higher octave of existence, one that doesn't need proof, only presence, one that doesn't chase, only flows, one that doesn't resist, only trusts. Let this be your new way of being. Not something you do once, but something you return to again and again and again until it becomes your resting place, your home, your essence. Let the world do what it does. You hold your frequency. Let others misunderstand. You keep loving anyway. Let the path twist. You stay present anyway. Let time pass. You remain timeless in your trust. Because the universe responds not to your pressure, but to your peace. Not to your control, but to your coherence. Not to your fear, but to your faith. And when you radiate from that place, steady, anchored, aligned life becomes a mirror of your liberation, a mirror of your healing, a mirror of your true self, awakened, whole, divine. This is the frequency of God. And you, dear soul, are its echo in form. So be still. And know, you are not waiting for the universe to change. The universe is waiting for you to remember who you already are. And it will respond Not because you begged, but because you finally believed. Because the moment you return to your true vibration, the entire cosmos rises to meet you there. In truth, in light, in love, in presence, always and forever.